All right, welcome back to another week of the 13 Sports Coaches Show. I'm now very excited to be joined by Wamego Softball head coach Luke Meyer. Coach, how you doing? Thanks for joining me.
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is a pretty busy week for you for the second straight year back in the state tournament. How does it feel for your team right now?
I'm really proud of where we're at. It's every year is a new year, and we lost such a strong class. You just rebuilding and putting the pieces together. Really proud of where our girls have put themselves in the position they put them in. So it's been a fun week.
Yeah, speaking of that strong class from last year, before we talk more about this year, Ashton Pearson has been killing it on the college level. Kind of talk about what she's been doing at Creighton this season.
Uh, Man, I tell you what, it doesn't surprise me. She's been making plays like that. I'd like to say since her freshman year, but she didn't get a freshman year. But since she's been on the field from Wamego, she amazes me at her footwork and the balls that she can get to. So I'm not surprised at the things that she's done this year. It's kind of funny. We were indoors hitting today, and she's actually in here with us and getting her own work in, and she never stops, and she is definitely could tell that by her success on the field this year. So super proud of her. Couldn't happen to a better kid.
How cool is it that you have kids come back to your program like that and also just set an example for your current players?
Oh man, for me, that's what it's all about. For me is building relationships with these girls. That is lifelong. The state medals and those accolades. They're awesome, but to have girls walk back in here and text and ask if they can come to practice and watch practice. And I've had 2 or 3 times this year where girls have been back and talking to our younger girls about kind of the how we handle ourselves and how we handle games. I've had players coming to games and getting in the dugout and kind of getting our freshman girls to learn how to be leaders. And man, that's probably one of my most prideful moments is to have those guys back in here for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a program that has established success. This is 2 years in a row, of course, that you're in state, but also you did win the title a year prior, 2 years prior to that first one. What does that say about the success, the culture you've established in your program at Wamego?
I would like to think that I had a little bit to do with that, but man, the girls have everything to do with that. As coaches, we can preach it, but it's the kids that buy in and teach it to the girls coming up, and just every year just amazes me at the buy-in that we get from players, and going from a team where we lost pretty much our entire starting lineup to turn around and have all these new faces in and jump right in, and it's been special to see. I've it's kind of why I got into coaching here at Wamego, is I've always felt that was here, just untapped, and just having to find that right mixture to get it going, and these girls have just taken off with it.
And this season was a little different than past seasons because this season was the first that the new Keisha rule went into effect, where you guys got to add a few more games to your schedule. Did you see that have a big impact at all on you guys, or just this softball scene in general?
I think it was good for a couple of reasons. Kind of breaks up the monotony of the season. I think sometimes when we were only playing those 20 games, 22 games, whatever it was, you practice a lot, which you need to practice, but at the end of the day, practicing 4 days a week and only playing games one. So it allowed us to play more games in a week. We also adjusted our schedule to where we got rid of that game. It's always in that first week where it's cold and rainy, snowy, whatever it is, right after spring break, right after basketball. So that allowed us to put a lot of double headers in 1 week, or playing 2 double headers a week. And twofold, we added some really tough competition this year that I think has catapulted us to where we're at right now. We added Lawrence Free State, and man, I tell you what, that was 2 of the toughest games that we played. And then we added McPherson, we added Southeast Saline, so we added some teams that were going to push us we knew we wanted to, our goal was to be back at the state tournament and competing for a state title. We needed to go see teams that would push us, and so our girls knew what that felt like. So it was great for us, and looking to grow on it for next year too. Like it's been great.
Yeah, I'm sure all the fans and everyone also appreciated not having an extra game in the very cold winter time.
Never fails. It's always kind of it's always that game that nobody wants to be there.
Yeah, but look, we're shooting them and we got our hands are just freezing on the cold camera, so thank you for that.
No doubt.
But I mean, when you guys come into this season as the reigning 4A state champions, did you see it add any extra? I know there was a lot of new people this year, but did it have any extra pressure on your girls?
I don't think so. I think youth is nice. Short-term memories, and knowing that a lot of these girls saw that and were there last year. But I every year's a new year for me, and I tell the girls at the beginning, it's not about state titles. Do we want to win it? Yes. Do we want to go be the best? Yes. But it's not who we are. Learning to be competitors and learning to play it at our best and control the things that we can control, and let the game play out the way that it should. So we set our goals in the very beginning of the year, and then we touch on them throughout, but we don't talk about it much. We just go play and compete to the best we can.
I'm sure you also feel like a pretty lucky coach when you have two really good pitchers who can get the job done. We'll talk about both of them, but we'll start with Peyton, Miss Tennessee commit.
Man, I tell you what, obviously her statistics speak for themselves. And there's not a pitcher in the state that doesn't want a ball in a huge moment like she does, who doesn't love being in tough games, who doesn't just, want to be pushed to the absolute limits. But more this year, I think for Peyton, and I think she would tell you too, is the growth that she's had on the leadership side. Having Ashton and Maya and Tristan, those girls last year to be those leaders. She really didn't have to be vocal, but there were times this year that we needed her to, where we struggled. Come to mind of when we played against Rossville. They were a tough team, and we didn't play to our best of our ability, and to have her talk to those girls and encourage them to step up and what was required of them. Where she's grown as a leader has been huge this year. She's a great kid. She when softball season's coming around, she's walking around school talking to kids who may or may not come out for softball, and she's pushing. She wants our numbers, whether it be on varsity or JV. She wants our program to be big as well. So, but yeah, she's in the circle. There ain't anybody tougher than her, and in big moments, and but a lot of people don't see the work that she puts in. There's a lot of times where we'll have a 2-hour practice, and we're all shacking up to leave, and here she'll come back with her dad to sit on a bucket and throw a bullpen session after. She's always working. She's always getting better. So I'm not surprised at the success she has. So
Yeah, and I'm sure it helps having the experience of a pitcher who threw a shutout in a state tournament game last year. So I'm sure that helps.
Knowing what that pressure feels like, and knowing it's okay. You don't have to shy away from it. You don't have to be scared of it is phenomenal for sure. And our girls definitely feel that and see that too.
Yeah, and of course, the reality of softball is that you guys have a lot of double headers. Peyton can't pitch every game. How great has Landry been this year?
The growth that Landry's had, she started off the season hot, but kind of tapered off a little bit there, about quarter of the way through the season, and then just came back. She since the Southeast Saline game, she threw a perfect game against them, against a really tough opponent, and just to watch her climb and learning how important it is to hit your spots. Not everything has to be a strike, and just learning how to pitch more than just throwing the ball across the plate. And to watch her kind of follow in Peyton's footsteps and that leadership. That's I think Peyton has been great for her to one bring that competitor out in her. And if you ever been around Peyton when she's in the circle, she's tenacious, and she's kind of showing Landry that way, and to see Landry grow and to step in and throw up. She's thrown multiple one-hit games, no hitters. She's her growth this season has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's a really big part of the actual state championship day, because if you make it past the first round, you then got a double header for the next day. Can't have a pitcher for both games. How beneficial do you guys feel having two really good pitchers going into this?
Gives us a lot of options, right? It definitely gives us some leeway if we get in deep into those games. Obviously, we're going in. Clearwater's our focus right now, and kind of game planning for that. But knowing that if one happens to be off, that there's another one that can jump right in, is definitely a great tool to have.
Yeah, and pitching aside, speaking more so to the game, what do you guys feel is going to be your strength going into this state tournament?
We've played well all year long. I've always prided ourselves on our defense. We do a lot of work, and we had some bumps early on with new folks in new positions and learning new things. But we've kind of hit our groove. We preach every game of doing your job and making routine plays look routine. Everything else will take care of itself. But if you're prepared to do your job and it's not focused on outcomes and not focused on wins and losses, we'll be fine. But more for us is and we've learned as to be patient hitters early on with younger players. You can kind of try to force things, and our girls are really learning to be disciplined at the plate and looking for their pitches. So just staying true to who we are is kind of our mantra for this week, and just having fun. This game's a fun game. It's not supposed to be serious, and it is serious, but I want these girls to go. These are memories that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and my final question for you, do you think you've got a team that can go back to back?
Absolutely. I feel like if we show up, we control what we can control. There's no reason that we're not on that hunt. There's a lot of great teams there, but I feel like we've got the team and the competitors on our side that can push us there. But like I said, we've got some work to do this week to get there, and I'm excited for the opportunity for sure.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all I got for you. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in to another week of the 13 Sports Coaches Show. State softball starts up on Thursday. Wamego takes on Clearwater to defend